Not long ago, we reported that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, had warned the Bank of Ghana to stop intervening in the forex market. At the time, Ghana's central bank was using foreign reserves to stabilize the cedi. The IMF said no, let the cedi float. But now, the message has changed again. Today, IMF is back again, and this time, they are advising Ghana to keep interest rates high. Yes, even after 6 straight months of falling inflation, even after the policy rate has sat at a painful 28% for over a year.
And with respect to the question on monetary policy, what I can say is that Ghana has made good progress since the beginning of the program in reducing inflation. Inflation was extremely high at the end of 2022 at 54%. It has now come down substantially to 14% at end June 2025. Going forward, it will be important for monetary policy to remain sufficiently tight.
So, what's really going on? Let's break it down. Inflation in Ghana hit a record-breaking 54.1% in December 2022. It was the highest in over 2 decades, fueled by collapsing cedi, food shortages, and global shocks. But since then, things have been improved. By December 2024, inflation had fallen to 23.8%. By March 2025, 17.3%. And by June 2025, 13.7%. That's a total drop of over 40% points in just 18 months. And it's not just headline inflation either. Core inflation, stripping out volatile items like fuel and food, has also trended downward, dropping from 49.2% in early 2023 to under 15% today, according to the Bank of Ghana. Yet, despite these positive numbers, the central bank's benchmark interest rates remain fixed at 28.0%, one of the highest policy rates in Africa, second to countries like Zimbabwe. So, why isn't the IMF cheering louder? According to Julie Kozak, Director of Communications at the IMF, going forward, it will be important for monetary policy to remain significantly tight to bring inflation down to the Bank of Ghana's target range of 8%, plus or minus 2 percentage points.
Coming back to the press center, I have a question that has come in on Ghana from Emmanuel Achabin from EIB Network. And I'll go ahead and read it. It says, Ghana's finance minister is presenting the mid-year budget today, following a first half marked by notable improvements in key economic indicators. However, concerns are rising about potential new fiscal slippages that could undermine gains in inflation control, currency stability, and overall recovery. Does the IMF share these concerns? And second question, what is your view on the role of monetary policy at this point, especially as the Bank of Ghana prepares to review its policy stance? So let me go ahead and take this question. Again, stepping back, on July 7th, the IMF's executive board completed the 4th review of Ghana's ECF arrangement. And after board approval, Ghana received about $367 million, bringing total support to around $2.3 billion since May 2023. With respect to the budget, here I can say that the IMF has welcomed the government's corrective actions, including a strong 2025 budget and an audit of payables to quantify and address the pre-election fiscal slippages. The authorities have recently implemented changes to their public financial management and public procurement acts, and this helps improve the overall fiscal responsibility framework in Ghana. And the authorities have also adopted a strategy to address issues in the energy sector. I can add that the mid-year budget review is fully in line with parameters and objectives of the IMF supported program. And with respect to the question on monetary policy, what I can say is that Ghana has made good progress since the beginning of the program in reducing inflation. Inflation was extremely high at the end of 2022 at 54%. It has now come down substantially to 14% at end June 2025. Going forward, it will be important for monetary policy to remain sufficiently tight, consistent with bringing inflation down to the Bank of Ghana's target range, which is 8%.
That means the real target is somewhere between 6 and 10% inflation. Right now, Ghana is still at 13.7%, which is outside that range. In other words, the IMF believes Ghana is close, but not there yet. And they want the Bank of Ghana to hold the line until inflation reaches single digits and stay there. But many local economists disagree with the IMF, and here's why. Lending rates in Ghana now average 34% to 38% for businesses. Small and medium enterprises, the backbone of the country's economy, are finding it nearly impossible to access affordable credit. Meanwhile, other countries with similar inflation levels are already cutting rates. Countries like South Africa has 5.4% inflation with 8.25% policy rate. Kenya 6.9% inflation with 13% policy rate. And Ghana 13.7% inflation still has 28% policy rate. So the question many people are asking is simple. Has Ghana done enough to start easing? This debate comes at a critical time. Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee is holding its 125th meeting this week. This committee will examine key macroeconomic indicators, which are 1. The cedi, which has remained relatively stable, hovering around 10 cedis 50 pesos to the dollar in July 2025. Foreign reserves now at $5.2 billion. Enough to cover around 2.7 months of imports. Domestic revenue, which has improved under the IMF program, up 19% year on year according to the Ministry of Finance. And yet, the Bank of Ghana is cutting between two tough options. 1. Cut rates too early and risk inflation bouncing back, or hold rates too long and choke off investment and job creation. Here's where things get complicated. Just weeks ago, the IMF told Ghana, stop intervening in the forex market. Now they are saying don't cut interest rates either. Too many observers are saying this feels like a contradiction. On one hand, don't defend the currency. On other hand, don't stimulate the economy either. And the reality is, Ghana is still locked into a 3 billion extended credit facility. That means the country must follow certain benchmarks to continue receiving disbursements. So, whether the central bank agrees with the IMF or not, it may not have much room to maneuver. To sum it all up, inflation is falling, but still too high for comfort. Interest rates remains the second highest on the African continent. The IMF says stay tight until inflation hits its targets. So here is a big question. Will the Bank of Ghana hold firm or give in the call for a rate cut? We will find out very soon. And that is all for today's episode. If you value data-driven reporting on Ghana's economy and the bigger force shaping West Africa, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Sheriff Haruna. Have a joyful life and see you in the next one. Macrao.